Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are joining the Flower Cup action again for another weekly broadcast. Greg Jennings here alongside with my newfound co-commentator in the booth, MCP Checo. We are here covering the Monaco Flower Cup event tonight. It's going to be very exciting. Lots of crashes and highlight reel moments ahead of us. Checo, how are you doing tonight? Are you ready for this one? What are we looking out for tonight?
Doing fine, sir. Doing fine. Hopefully, hope our viewers, both live and after the fact, they have enjoyed their mornings, evenings, days, whatever finds you at. Really excited for this second race of the season, but we're gonna start quali in 2 seconds. So, Greg,
Yes.
take us on a lap.
Of course, we're going to start the most important qualifying of the entire schedule, you can argue, and I'm going to ride on board with Zavgab. I think he's got a really good chance tonight to get that pole position. You see him already up to P1 through Saint-Avant there, up the famous hill now towards the casino corner here, the fast right-hander. He's got to be careful on the traction. Ramy is giving him a fight, and look at that. Zav has lost a little bit of ground with a loose moment there, and Ramy is now ahead, heading into the famous hairpin. I guess it's called the Grand Hotel hairpin now. Looks pretty decent, but it's going to be very close between these three as they head through Portier. Now to the famous tunnel, which isn't as much of an issue with visibility at nighttime here, but it will be an issue in the daytime later, sorry. Now through into the Nouvelle Chicane. Zav has a nice line through there, uses all of the track, and he gets back into first place. Now through the very fearsome Tabac corner, you want to carry as much speed through here as you approach a swimming pool chicane. It's not quite flat out in these F2 cars, and Zav just smacks the wall a little bit there, but he does get through cleanly. Now through Raskas, the second last corner, looking pretty smooth, and I think he's got this pole position nailed here with Hazy giving him a run for his money. But Zav will take your pole position in the end, 3.5 tenths at 120.6 over Hazy Ozzy at 121.0 with Ramy close behind him. The usual names are up there. Zakario's looking really strong, and Sweetij just gets P5 there. Any other standout drivers, Checo? Who were you looking at for that lap? How'd you think that went?
That lap was really good by Zav. The only one mistake that he had was coming in too quickly after the hotel turn into that little hairpin, and then the touching of the wall with his front right tire and wing section coming into La Rascas. But yeah, very very impressed from Zav and the reigning champion Hazy Ozzy. Good showing from Remy. This is his first race of the season, because he missed Austin last week, so let's hope that he can do a good showing.
Yeah, Ramy's definitely prepared for this one. He wants to get some good points in there to catch up for what he has missed. He's missed a couple races, bleeding into last season as well, which he did unfortunately lose a chance to get the driver's title, so I'm sure he's motivated, and maybe we can see him make a move into Saint-Avant here, the very famous opening corner and kind of opening scenes we see from time and time again. This race, Monaco, is a very special one, but to be honest, I think recently has really struggled to find its feet with the cars kind of outgrowing the circuit, I guess, with F1 particularly, that being evident. We are going to be in F2 today, which does make the racing a little bit more practical, but it's still going to be very, very tough to get by. You're most likely going to be relying on a strategy call or a mistake or something like that to occur to get some moves done. So let's see what happens in this sprint race. It's going to be very interesting because we did have the top 10 reversed as always. And we'll see if Zab can get up to those higher up positions. That would be a really good showing for him, so we'll keep an eye on him. And I did also see Kev would sneak in there. But now we are getting ready for the 5 red lights here at the Monaco Grand Prix. The F2 Flower Cup action is underway with Isasco taking pole position here. This should be some spicy scenes as they head towards Saint-Avant. Isasco has the move done. He gets a little bit of contact at the rear end there by Zudi, but the top 3 with Toxic behind them has remained stationary as they head up the hill now. Tons of cars close together, but I don't think anyone's in the position to make a move any further. We did see Dashly move by Rasta further back there, but Isasko still has this lead. A brief look there from Toxic Zero as they approach Mirbo, but everyone keeping it calm and collected. Checo, I'm surprised we didn't see more DNFs by now. How about you? What did you see there?
Very, very surprised from all the drivers in the back, as we saw URT Knowledge Forever just retire from the section going into the Mirabelle chicane, as we did the commentator's curse as he retires from the session. Although his car is still going, so he did not even like that cornering, so maybe just didn't like the track for today's race. But luckily there was no safety car, because as we saw from last week, there was a lot of competition without the safety cars in Austin Sprint.
I caught a side-by-side moment there between Hazy and I think that was Leader going into the Novell chicane. Almost the two cars getting stuck together, hitting that inside barrier, as I'm sure we've all done before playing these games. But we are in a relatively stationary position now, as we have some movement in the back there. I think that was Rasta getting tagged in the back, losing some positions with his car being ghosted down to P13, and Kevwood is surviving into P14, but he's going to have a tough time getting anywhere up to the higher positions. Isasko's looking really strong here. Look at this, Checo. 2-second gap already on Zudi through the first lap, and now onto the second. Zudi is holding up the pack here, and Isasko's taking advantage of it.
That he is very surprising from our Nigerian friend, as a 2-second gap going into the very, very slow left-hander of the corner. I forget about the slowest corner on the F2 and F1 track.
Yeah, very iconic. I think it's the only corner where you're going to be utilizing that first out of 8 gears available to you as a driver. And we did see on the first lap there someone blowing the braking a little bit. Of course, the speed is relatively low through there, so the damage isn't typically too crazy, but we did see some bumper-to-bumper action there. But no one got stuck, luckily, which can happen sometimes, as now they fly through the seaside section of the track with Isasko putting his lead in jeopardy now with 3-second penalties already to his name, and that's not good with now 13 laps, I guess you can call it, left to complete. That is not a good sign for him. He's going to have to build a gap to take care of that, and safety cars are very common around here.
Yes, absolutely. I did see in the tunnel section that Bella did tag his left front tire into the left side of the wall in that tunnel section before it came out into the sunlight again.
And
so hopefully he didn't get too much damage, or if any at all, for the sake of his race. He is a very quick driver, as we saw from last race in Austin and last season as well.
Yeah, he's really doing well as a newcomer, and you have to be very careful on this track. I think the F2 cars have a little bit more durability, whether it be the car's design in game or the game's physics engine perhaps not handling the slower speeds, I'm not sure, but they definitely can take a beating. So perhaps he got away with that one, because I've been riding on board with him, and he's looking still to put Toxic Zero in front of him under pressure for the last podium spot as they head through the first chicane now.
And Zav is clawing his way back into 7th place from starting in 10th, up 3 positions, and putting Black Cherry under ropes, as Cherry's also doing that to Sweet Teach. Very close between those drivers, between 3 and all the way down to like P10, where there's a 3-second gap to Leaderly. Very good from all these drivers, less than a second between all of them, as they're just riding each other's train all the way down the straight into turn 1.
And Zudi is still ahead of that train for now, but again, the nature of the circuit proving to make moves difficult. We've seen Zav now put Cherry under a little bit of pressure as they head up the hill, but again, he's going to have to look for a moment. We did see a yellow flag there in Sector 3. Let's turn the track map on so we can see that. Looks like that was Dastardly having a moment and now entering the pit lane. The first driver to do so in our event tonight. And actually, let's talk about the tires while we're talking about pitting and whatnot. Where is that? There it is. Everyone going for the exact same strategy here on the soft tire. I'm not sure what other tire was available. Perhaps it was a little bit too soft or a little bit too hard. I'm not quite sure. We might be seeing more tires in the next race to come. but no strategic advantage for anyone right now. It's purely up to their ability to place the car around this track and not make mistakes. We did see a mistake up there. Oh my goodness, that was Bella into the back of Toxic into the Novell chicane. He did back up the pack there, creating some breathing room, but everyone remains stationary and no one is suffered too much damage from that. That was really close.
Yeah, it was, as the gap has increased from Toxic to Zudi by 2 seconds, and Zudi has decreased that gap into 1.1 to 1.5 based on whichever recording speed that there is.
So Zudi is in prime position.
Looking very nice to get some heavy points out of the sprint race.
Yeah, he is going to be your on-track leader, and he's clawing into Isasco. He's not letting him run away, and as long as he doesn't get a penalty, he is in a great spot. I don't think Toxic has the pace to challenge him right now, unfortunately. Checo, I'm going to quickly link the chat here. I realize I forgot to do that in the action we saw with a late start. You got the helm for a little bit, my friend.
Absolutely. Yeah. As we see Zav and Cherry, they are neck and neck going into the slow left-hander, going to the first gear. First gear out of 6 for these F2 cars, and in the F1 races they go down to first gear as well, as Dastardly picks up another 3-second time penalty down to P15. As his race is pretty much over, there has to be a lot of chaos in order for him to come back through the field, and he is just purposely crashing. I don't know what's going on with him, but as we see, Zudi is now 9/10 of a second off the track of Sasko, as Rustachich does DNF. I don't know where he DNF'd at, but he did DNF at the chicane after the tunnel section. Very unfortunate for him, as we see our first VSC.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what happened there. I wasn't riding on board, but as you mentioned, Checo, Dastardly was trying to destroy his car for some reason, and I was actually watching him do that. He went full speed into Sandavant turn 1, and get this, folks, he didn't even DNF. He had to try again. So there's the durability of the F2 cars in this game on display for you. So a combination of Rasta and Dastardly bring out the first major yellow flag caution of the event so far, which is only a virtual, so not as exciting as perhaps a safety car would have been. So as long as no one gets to drive through here, we should remain in the same positions.
And as we see Leaderly and JJ going into the pits, trying to get a new set of tires so that way they can rush up through the field again onto the super softs for JJ. And let's see what tire that Leaderly is on. He's also on the super soft, so they are hoping to get more time out of this virtual safety car, as Leaderly is 18 seconds away from Kevwood in P11.
So he's got the freshest tires, super softs. Okay, oh my goodness, what I curse Zudi, who gets the drive through and basically throws away the sprint win with that. That's very, very harsh, and I think that was the second drive through I've seen from him recently from a virtual safety car. He's got to make sure to be careful next time, but of course it's too late for now. He's going to have to serve that penalty before the next caution flag comes out, ideally, so we should be seeing him go into the pit lane here. No, he's going to do one more lap, potentially just create a space on track, but that is risky. All it takes is one other person to crash, and you are stuck, not able to serve that penalty. Very unfortunate.
Yes, absolutely. Very unfortunate for Zudi. The commentator's curse does strike again with our friend from New York. Not too many other battles going on right now. Rami is up to P8. Fortunate left for him, but he does have that 3-second time penalty that will slow his pace down at the end of the race. But he is fighting with Hazy Ozzy, as Hazy doesn't really have much of a look going into Mirabeau chicane.
Oh, Black Cherry!
There's a lot of traffic going on, a lot of battles between Cherry and Sweet Teach, as Cherry does go up to P5. Replacing Sweet Teach down to P6. He
dove up the inside, the classic video game move that I'm sure we've all tried, up the hairpin, just taking advantage of that open space on Sweet Teach, and just barges his way through to make that position up. That was really, really aggressive stuff from Black Cherry, but he got it done. In terms of penalties, everyone with a penalty besides Zudi has 3 seconds, so nothing too out of ordinary. Perhaps some more people will join them and things will begin to level out. but those drivers need to be careful not to get any more, as we see Black Cherry now give the wall a little tap. We're going to see a lot of drivers do that. These F2 cars do feel very understeery on this circuit at these low speeds. It is not the same as an F1 car for sure. It's very, very challenging.
Yes, absolutely. He gave multiple walls a lot of thwacking through that second sector after that the chicane out of the tunnel section. As Sweet Tea does have a run on Cherry up the hill into the beginning of sector 2 after the hotel section.
Let's see if Sweet Teach can respond with a similar move into the same hairpin they were battling on the lap previously.
Ramy does
Ramy
do a
in
send
Mirbo.
on the inside of Zavgab.
Wow.
P7, taking inspiration off of Cherry, doing one corner before on Mirbo. Really, really good for Ramy as he moves up to P7.
I was expecting Zav to do some overtaking. I was not expecting someone to pull a move on him around here. Really nice stuff, aggressive stuff from Ramy there. I didn't quite see it, but I didn't see too many awkward moments between the drivers, so it must have been relatively clean. Perhaps a little bit of contact that does happen. Kevwood, though, retires into the Novell chicane, or rather right in the middle of it. Perhaps clipping that inside wall. We do see drivers do that from time to time. Is that going to bring out a response from race control? Looks like it's not. The car has already disappeared. And Kevwood has joined the list of the DNF drivers, bringing our total runners to just 12 now. And Zudi is now finally serving that penalty. I think he was really playing a dangerous game there, not serving it with the green flags available. Good thing he got it out of the way.
I do think that Ramy did give Sweet Teach a bit of damage on his
on
the front right of his wing as he tried to send it down on La Rascas. Going into the final corner and giving him a bit of a bump too much into the that wall as he hits him again going into Mirabo.
A lot of things happen there. And more is happening with the contact into the hairpin between Zav and Ramy. Things are getting frosty, but I did see Bella, I think, sideways briefly there at the exit of Mirabo, which I'm sure caused some unnatural braking and some erratic behavior. So I don't think that was anyone's fault necessarily, just some bad timing there, which happens all the time around this track, of course. And Bella is right behind Black Cherry now, who I think got through. Perhaps an overtake causing that moment to occur. I'm not quite sure. All I saw was Bella's car kind of halfway around there in that corner. But yeah, Cherry's having a good race.
Yes, he is. Yes, really not surprising for him. He is one of our better drivers on the F1 grid. Just situationally, he comes off worse for wear than a lot of other drivers. I did see the contact between Ramy and Sweet Teach as he sent it into the corner on Mirabo. Really unfortunate as I'm not going to place the blame on Ramy too much. We probably had a tap from his rear. It's just really unfortunate for Sweet Teach as he has wing damage and he's on the P9, not in the points.
Oh,
so
Ramy!
Far, as we see Ramy going down the inside on Mirabo from Bella. Really
and
nice
Zav follows up.
Much better than the move that he did last lap on Sweet Teach.
Oh, some contact through the hairpin there. Zav's trying to get by Bella, who might drop 2 positions here quickly. Ramy is very, very strong into that braking zone, and he's getting some moves done through there consistently, but he does have that penalty, so he's going to have to make it work. We do see Zav side by side with Bella, who make contact out of the tunnel, and Bella is now around facing the wrong way. Hopefully no one hits him coming through the tunnel section now, but that was very, very scary. He's very lucky he's still in the race. And Zudi just completely goes through that chicane there. Perhaps Bella's car throwing him off there. But that was a very, very dramatic moment through the tunnel with, Ramy
I was actually
tapping the wall.
Expecting it to go 3 wide. As Ramy does ghost, I have no idea how he did that. But Zav is like right on the back of Ramy now for fighting for P4.
And Isasco now is losing pace with Toxic, who's in the position to take the sprint win so far, 2/10 only behind him. And Toxic might have to get a move done here. He's going to become under a lot of pressure from Black Cherry if he waits too long. But of course, Passing Isasko around Monaco is a very dangerous prospect that I'm sure Toxic is not very fond of accomplishing right now, but I think he might have to get it done. Because Isasko is backing everyone up here.
And on any track is not the easiest thing in the world to do. So Toxic is very aware of this situation as he goes into the tunnel section, 8/10 away from Isasko, as Bella does retire outside of turn 1, going up the hill into turn 2 and 3. Very unfortunate for the contact that he sustained and the near 3 wide moment into the chicane out of the tunnel section, as Hazy does pick up another 3-second time penalty that totals him up to 6 seconds. So his race is pretty much over as far as like getting into the points so far.
Rami making contact into the back of Cherry there, into Raskas, but the two remain in the same positions. That was scary for a second there, and Zav still close to Rami. As we now are already onto the 12th lap with Isasko still in the lead, not making any crazy mistakes, but he's still got that penalty to worry about. Does Rami have a run here on Cherry up the hill? Not quite that.
A little bit on the inside
almost,
of that,
yeah.
of the up the hill section, but he backed out because the track was decreasing in width.
Yeah, it really tightens up there. Oh! Toxic blows it into Mirabeau. He throws away the easy win. And now Cherry's in the box seat. Oh my goodness. What a dramatic race tonight so far we have.
Yes, absolutely. We only have 11 drivers out of 16 so far competing left in this sprint race. Toxic, very unfortunate for him as he goes from P2 fighting for the win down to P6. But luckily, Hazy does have that 6-second time penalty, so he'll be fighting for P5 at least. It'll be really good for him to get 3 points for this race. It's better than nothing, I would say.
Yeah, I think he's lucky to even be rolling after that. He hit that wall very hard. But now we're watching Rami put Cherry under pressure, who is in position to win the race right now with 3 laps remaining here. Rami hits Cherry for the 2nd time in a row into Raskas. Definitely braking later, but he's got to obviously take care of the driver in front of him. And they remain 2 and 3 heading on to lap 13 now, with Isasko still ahead of them with the penalty.
Yeah, it seems that Rami is situationally very difficult for his under braking, as he has a hard time braking up into after the hill section going into the hotel section. As it's very close between Zav, Rami, and Cherry.
Zav!
Less than 4/10 between them as Zav goes on the inside of Rami into Mirabeau.
Oh, Rami!
Oh, and Rami just takes out Cherry going into the slow left-hander.
He was trying to return the favor into the hairpin, and that got Cherry caught up, and Cherry really did nothing wrong there. That is so unlucky and unfortunate, and Rami is hemorrhaging positions now. I think he's perhaps waiting for Cherry maybe to let him by, but the damage is now done. Rami's into P7, and Zav miraculously has clawed back into the box seat with Isasko in front of him with the penalty, though. So all he really needs to do is keep it clean, and he's got this sprint win to further extend his lead in this championship. He had a very, very strong race 1 around Austin. And we see him now
goes up
right behind
P4,
Isasko.
Looking to get a P2 finish if it finishes right now. Maybe, yeah, definitely if he can get within Isasko. As Zav does overtake Isasko before turn 1. I have no idea why Isasko would give up that position so readily to Zav. We're expecting for Isasko to fight against Zav, as he's been leading the race for the past 14 laps. That is very, very unlike him to do that.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Going into turn 1, as leader is having some difficulties going into turn 1 itself, as Hazy does send it down Isasko, going after Mirabeau. And Toxic doesn't know what to do with himself. He has like a bag of popcorn, just eagerly waiting, like, when can I get this maneuver done? As Cherry does call it quits for this sprint race, as he probably had damage or what have you, and it felt that his race was over at that point.
I think what happened to him there, I think he missed the break point into Mirabo, and then he went into that runoff, and I think he just decided enough was enough for this race. So unfortunate how things unfold for him, and perhaps Isasko just did not want Zav right behind him, pressuring him. Maybe he thought he'd be better off just getting rid of that situation altogether, as Zav has now already stretched 3.5 seconds away in one lap. So very, very dominant pace Zav is showing. As we head now onto the final lap here, Zav looking comfortable, Hazy and Isasko having penalties, and Toxic somehow clawing back into P4, who will look to finish in P2 with those penalties ahead of him, as long as he can keep it clean here.
Yes, very very unfortunate for the drivers that that have DNF'd. We're looking good for points. Black Cherry, Bella, and maybe Rosicich in the lower end of the points, but still points are points, right? Especially young in the season, so every point matters. You never know that, especially in these F2 races, that 1 point is all that it takes between P1 and P2. You just never know. Never know with these drivers. The consistency is key throughout all these races.
Yeah, obviously, you know, like things can happen. You know, if your rivals can have bad races, things within or without or outside of their control can negatively affect them. And of course, you know, we are not a professional racing organization, so people go on vacations, as we saw with Rami there, and that could be the difference. A point here and now between in these first early races here. But now we see Zav comfortably crossing the line, celebrating the miraculous P1 around Monaco here, with Isasko crossing the line in P2. Where will he go to with a penalty applied? Toxic will take the second position off him, but Isasko, I think, has done enough to just one penalty away from potentially a win. Obviously, if he didn't have the penalty, I think he would have not let Zav by there, and that would have been a totally different story. But Sicario has a good race into P4. Sweetige battles back from some early troubles into P5. Hazy affected by the 6 seconds of penalties into P6. Rami making a couple mistakes there, hitting a couple cars. Not the cleanest race for sure into P7, with Zudi picking up, I believe, the last point of the session, but actually I'm not quite sure because we don't have a full grid here. Maybe that's been reduced. We will see. But overall, a very, very exciting Monaco Grand Prix. Much more exciting than your standard F2 or F1 Monaco event, I would like to imagine. You know, we see some skill gaps here, some differences in pace and assists and things like that. So things can be exciting as we watch the podium of the first event of the evening. Checo, who was your driver of the first race? Who stood out to you? Who had the most effective race?
I got to give it to Isasko. Besides that penalty that he had, which was only 3 seconds, he led for damn near all the race. Very, very impressive from him. Didn't really see that coming, especially in Monaco. A very, very good result from him. Unfortunately, to get that penalty, he would have been probably P2 at the end of it. I don't think that he would have lasted with Zavgab chase behind him, as we do have a late joiner in Hemi. So he might be able to join in this feature race and pick up maybe some points. He is a very, very good driver. Definitely pushes it to the limit to maybe get some points. He was missing from last week, so he'll be definitely wanting to get a hefty haul. Greg, who was your standout performer?
I gotta say, I'm quite impressed with Isasko. As you mentioned, Zav, of course, is always consistent, but I gotta say, Toxic did very well there. I did put him under a little bit of pressure tonight. He is known to have some comments about some races he doesn't particularly partake in, so he definitely was under a little bit of a hot seat, but he did well. He did have that moment, which, yes, he's very lucky he survived. In my opinion, he probably shouldn't have survived that, but the game will be the game, and he held in there and battled back to the second highest position. As now, under the night skies, we have joined the grid for the second of the 2 races tonight, the longer feature race where we will see that pit stop, and I think that's going to be probably the best opportunity to make up some positions, perhaps with a safety car or something being involved. Surprised we didn't see a safety car. We did see a virtual, but not a full safety car in the last race. Potentially we might see one in this one, though. But let's see what Hemi can do.
Greg,
I don't put anything
don't
past Hemi.
commentators curse that. I don't want a safety car to happen this race.
Oh.
As Hemi does eventually lead the session.
I cursed him. Oh, yeah, I think he didn't get a car, Checo.
Because as we saw from the sprint race in Austin last week, we had no safety car or VSC. As you see, 4 lights, 5 lights. In this feature race of Monaco, we are a go as Gab is 1/10 away from Hazy Aussie and comfortably going into P1 after turn 1. He might have cut that corner into turn 1.
Oh! We have a blockage back here, Checo. JJ is sideways. Several cars in the back. We're stuck behind him. I think everyone's running, but some big gaps already have emerged into lap 1.
Yes, very unfortunate for them, as Ertnaz is very, very, very slow coming out of turn 1. Probably lost his malfunction. Probably had a gear malfunction with his controller or wheel. I don't know what he races on. Very unfortunate for him to go down 10 seconds to JJ.
Oh, and Zudi leader had a nice move there through the hairpin, with Zudi briefly getting side by side, but now the front of the pack heads through the Novell chicane. Hopefully no one clips that inside wall. We see the drivers heading through now. Someone had a brief moment of the track limits. I think that was Cherry. And looks like we did have a pass there. Rami making the move on Hazy towards to back. Drivers are very close together. They got to be careful through here. Through the swimming pool chicane, Rami gets the move done and clatters the wall into P2. Let's see what he can do in the second event here. Hopefully he can have a little bit less argy-bargy moments, shall we say, on the track tonight. But him and Zav are going to be your favorites for sure for this race win. Kevwood gets by dastardly through Raskas. And Kevwood's looking to get something out of the second race after DNFing in the first one.
Yeah, as you see going on to the tire perspective, only 3 super soft runners right now in this first stint. Zavgab, Rami, and Bella going on to the super softs. The rest everybody is on the soft compound tire. So definitely race strategy will come into play. Maybe, hopefully not a safety car. Might change up things in the books. As don't see a lot of battles going on right now. People are probably just positioning themselves that way they can fight once the DRS is actuated after this lap going into lap number 3.
So overall on lap 2, we did see some people gaining some positions. Kevwood most notably up 5 positions into P11, who's just on the outside of the points behind Rasta now. But I think he was one of the drivers who was caught up with, I think that was leader, if I remember, sideways, or I actually don't remember now. Anyway, so in terms of the tires, I do think the softer, more aggressive strategy, particularly if you're in the front like Rami and Zavar right now, I think that is the way to go. You want to build a gap, get an undercut, hopefully with some clear air. There is some differences in pace tonight, so that should be possible. And then I think you are in a position as well to take advantage of a safety car early on, and honestly most of the time safety cars do happen earlier rather than later. Usually it's when the pack is closer is when there's more of a chance they occur, so I think that was the way to go, but obviously things can change. Safety cars can come out whenever. All it takes is one big mistake, and we'll see if some of the drivers on the harder tires can come back later on the super softs. And let's also see if any weather comes into play, Checo. I saw some certain settings in the lobby when we were getting going, and I'm hoping they carry over into our event tonight with 21 laps to complete, 3 of them already underway. Oh, and leaders by Dastardly there. Very nice.
Yeah, I did see those settings before. I was quickly hushed before we started this race session. So maybe we'll get to see some different weather changes under the flight lights in Monaco. A very picturesque city. I would love to visit there myself, but I really don't have the money to spend there because it is very expensive.
Yeah.
That the principality.
a certain lifestyle is required to come to this event at least regularly. You see the yachts, you see the glitz and glamour, of course. But like I mentioned, I think Monaco, as we break away from the action a little bit, I think Monaco does have to do a little bit more in the real F1 racing series, obviously. There's been some questions about the TV direction, about sponsorships, about certain breaks and things they don't have to pay compared to other cities and tracks have to pay. And I really do think it's starting to get outclassed by tracks like Singapore. Hell, I'll even say Las Vegas looked really good and built for these cars that we currently have. So let's see what happens to Monaco in the near future here. I'd love to see it around, but I do think the organizers are under a little bit of pressure to do a little bit more better of a job covering the event. And I'm not sure what kind of track changes are available. Obviously, it's a street track, as we see Rami getting a penalty there, but that potentially could help as well. But honestly, options are probably limited. Anyway, we get back into the action with Sweetige the closest. Or no, I guess we have Bella behind Toxic as well, with Isasco and Rasta making a battle there through the Nouvelle Chicane. Isasco, I think, had a moment there because his car was briefly ghosted, and Rasta gets through. But it looks like Sweetige is putting Sicario under pressure into P4 for now. Oh, dastardly, JJ. Oh, JJ had a moment there. That's what happened through to back. The high-speed left-hander with the walls inches away from the apex. And JJ is having a tough one here into P15 with Nas, the only driver behind him, who is ghosted and did not appear to make the race. I think that's what happened to him at the start, Checo. And to be honest, it's not the first time. So that might be something we need to consider. But we will move on and keep an eye on what Sweetige is doing in P5.
Yes, he's definitely coming close to Sicario, fighting for a P4. As Nas Forever is ghosted down in P16, he probably did not like any of the battles that he had to face on lap 1, turn 1, into Sandoval. As we see yellow flags between probably Zudi and Leader, or probably even Kevwood as well. Into the Mirabel chicane. So hopefully everyone came off of those set of the corners better off than what they started.
Oh, Leader had a lock up there, which Zudi was right behind him through the Nouvelle chicane there as they approached to back. Zudi has had a tough race tonight. He was looking really strong, but ever since that drive-through, he's just been down in these lower down positions on a track which is very tough to get by, with some cars that do not necessarily like to drive around here. I did do some test laps earlier, and I noticed a lot of understeer as well as oversteer, and particularly I think the bump, this one coming up, we're watching Sweetige now. Oh, he hits the wall though on the inside. You got to be careful of that. But that bump right there, coming out of Casino into Mirabeau, which Sweetige just went over, that one really unsettles the cars too. Look out for someone to perhaps be caught out by that. Potentially with rain on the way as well. It's hard to tell at nighttime. I'm not quite sure if the clouds are close or not. We'll have to kind of just see what happens. But I do have a sneaking suspicion there might be some rain on the way. Toxic is having another decent race in P7 behind Black Cherry. And yeah, everyone's remaining stationary for now. Obviously Monaco is what it is. Tough place to get by. Dastardly having another moment with JJ. JJ had another crash there. So I think the two are exchanging wrecks in a unique battle down here for last place, effectively. But we'll now keep an eye on, I guess, yeah, Sweetige again, just to see what he's doing with Sicario.
Yeah, as you can see, they are both on the soft compound tires, so they're just really just waiting for the super softs to run out of energy. As you see caution flags in sector 2 at the chicane after the tunnel section, as Dashley does retire from the race out and within sector 2.
Yeah, I think he hit the wall onto back there. Yeah, see his car, you can see it with Nas's car. He hit the wall to back Just perhaps not enough wing. I think he did hit the wall a lot recently, so I think he had a damaged car, and that has brought out the VSC. I think the leaders might be in a position to take advantage of it, but is that worth the risk with potentially some weather being on the way? That's a very interesting call. I think if it was a safety car, you'd be a lot more straightforward, but VSC muddies the waters a little bit here. And keep in mind, they are on the softer tires, so they are going to be looking to get off them before the guys behind them can start catching up again. And particularly that's Zav and Rami in the first two spots.
With the approximate weather settings, though, is that we don't know whether we have rain officially coming here or not. The settings are really good within this game to determine actually when the weather is going in. As Rasta does get a driving penalty speeding under the virtual safety car, very unfortunate for him as he climbed up from P15 up to P9, gaining 6 positions in this feature race. Very unfortunate for him as he has to serve that penalty within 3 laps.
And I was on board with Zav there right when that restart occurred, and I think Zav, just judging by how he was driving, I think he was really tempted to go in there, but the VSC literally came out before he could even get into the pit lane. And I also saw him have a moment in turn 1, and now into Mirabeau, getting very, very close to the wall here. He's allowed Rami to get right behind him, and hopefully Rami can keep it clean, but Zav's definitely going to be feeling a little bit nervous. He had a pretty healthy lead at the start, but now he's under pressure with some worn tires underneath his car right now, and Hazy is starting to close up towards them.
Yeah, as Hazy is the first driver in this with the 100 compounded tire with the softs, only 3 seconds behind Rami, and I think that lead is going to continue to decrease as the super softs will continue to degrade as laps go on.
And now Rami is slowly falling back.
Looking at the weather and saw that they could, possibly risk the undercut strategy, so that way they can go on to a new set of tires. We just don't know. As Rami does go into the pits,
yes,
into the pits off the super soft tires that down in P3 has a bit of a gap between Sicario as he goes down to P6.
Yeah, I think you predicted something there, Checo. I want to say the moment you said the word undercut, that's exactly what Rami tried to do. He went into the pit lane, he turned right out of Raskaf's corner, and let's see what kind of undercut he can get on Zav. Zav's tires, I'm sure, are not going to be in the best position. Let's see who can come out on top here. This is the best opportunity, I'm sure, for Rami to get ahead and potentially build a gap and look to maybe get a first place here. But the race is now hanging in the balance, and hopefully no safety cars will interrupt Rami's undercut attempt here, and we'll see a nice and close battle when Zav decides to come in, and he comes out of that pit lane towards Saint-Avant.
Yeah, if we get to see where Zav does, or when he does actually pit, or and where he comes out. He does have a 3.5 second lead as Zav does go into the pit. So Hazy Ozzy is your effective race leader, going on to lap number 10 on the soft compound tire. A lot of a gap between Zav and Sicario, so maybe Zav can be a lot better than what Rami was released into. A lot less traffic to go through. Zav is out of the pit lane.
It's gonna be close here. Rami gets him.
Rami does pass him going into turn 1. So the undercut does work for Rami. Good job for him.
Smart thinking there from Rami. Gets the job done. Now he will have some slower cars in front of him on the older tires, and to be honest, I think they're in a position where they want to stay out as long as possible. We see Bella move over for Rami, making it easier for him. Let's see if he does the same with Zav, though. That could be a huge moment in this race. That could really change things if he decides to fight Zav here. But
absolutely, he might just close the door off of Zav
yeah.
and say, no, you have to earn this.
Yeah,
I'm friends with Rami. You got to earn this. This is a race winner from Austin.
Yeah, potentially he might be a little jealous of that success, and he's going to look to shut down Zav here. I don't think he's moving over here, Checo. I think he would have done it by now. And Ramy is getting away. That is a huge moment. Some contact out of the Novell chicane, and Zav finally gets through, who just had so much more grip on the exit there. I don't think he even meant to do that, but he just tapped the rear end of Bella with much more speed.
No, I don't think he meant to do that whatsoever. Bella is struggling on those super soft compound tire. Maybe he doesn't even pit. Yes, he does pit, getting off the super soft. So the only person that will be on that compound tire is JJ down at P14. He is 25 seconds behind Rostic, so his race may be effectively over, depending on weather or any other yellow flags that might benefit him. He's really got to pick up the pace in order to catch up back to the field. Hazy Ozzy does have a 11 second gap between him and Sicario, as Hazy is controlling this race so far, after he inherited the lead off of Ramy and Zav.
So speaking of Ramy, we're going to keep an eye on him. He's going to have a huge advantage on Toxic here, who he's right behind now in P6, and Zav, I think he's benefiting now. I think Toxic will not let Ramy by here by any means necessary, and I think he's going to look to help out Zav to let the two drivers close up again. And if you're the drivers on the soft tire who did not pit yet, I think, especially Hazy, I think you want to stay out as long as possible. You're not going to be undercutting these guys whatsoever. They are going to be miles ahead if there's just green flag laps ahead of us. But if there is a race stoppage, you have a position to put on some pretty decent tires and take the race lead potentially to the end. We saw Ramy just bumping Toxic into Rascast. JJ does DNF. Is that safety car arriving? I'm not sure. That was at the hairpin. I think he just left the session there, so I don't think the safety car is going to come out. That would have been another big moment. Ramy now pressuring Toxic up the hill towards Massenet. The famous left-hand turn, which is very understeery in these cars, but he's going to have a huge advantage here through Casino. And will we see a dive into Mirabo here? No, just not enough room there. And I heard some contact behind. Zav tried the move into Mirabo on Ramy's outside. That was really, really crazy. But I think he's trying to return the favor from that first overtake we saw in the sprint race. Close action here, Checo.
Yeah, very, very close action. Ramy is pressurizing Toxic into either a mistake or into a overtake mode as we go into the chicane off the tunnel section, as there is contact between Ramy and Toxic, as Zav does pick up the pieces and does
what happens here to back?
To
Ramy. Ramy backs out. I thought Ramy's going to stick his nose in there. He did again briefly there, but Zav has made it by. And I think that's the race win potentially, done and dusted there. We'll see. And I think Toxic will be a little bit nicer to Zav than Ramy. That's just my guess. But of course, Toxic has no obligation whatsoever to let any of these drivers by. He can do whatever he wants as long as it's within the confines of the rules.
Bella does retire. It does bring up the VSC going into the ending of Sector 2. He probably did DNF because he lost control of his car after the chicane.
So we see a pack here pitting. They're in the right spot. This was Isasko, Kevwood, Zudi, and Rasta were kind of in the right spot to take advantage. I don't think Hazy will be able to, though. He's still really far away from the pit lane. And of course, he wants that virtual to still be out when he's in the pits. That's the entire reason he's to do that. And it's already gone. So he's not going to have an opportunity to respond and potentially pick up that easy P1, like I mentioned. But he has a huge gap now to P2 with Sweet Cheese 15 seconds behind. Let's keep an eye on Zav and Ramy, of course, though, as they fight through the field. And yeah, let's see how Toxic treats Zav now compared to Ramy.
It's going to be a lot better. There is a lot of bad blood between Zav and between Ramy and Toxic, as Zav does pick up a 3-second time penalty if you're cutting the chicane corner, as Toxic does give a slight nudge of the wall on the left-hand corner into approaching Sector 3, as Hazy does go into the pit onto the super soft compound tire. Sweet Tej will be your leader. by not so much of a margin. He may want to pit very, very soon, weather pending, as there is a huge battle between Zav and Toxic Zero going into turn 1, passing by the ghosted car of Nos
URT,
Forever,
yeah.
down in P13.
So Zav got by Toxic there, which now I think he's in a very strong position to take the win of this race here. Rami's looking to get by Toxic into Mirbo, and he does get the move done. So just so they say that, as Toxic hits the wall.
But Toxic does crash into the and after Mirbo. Definitely did not brake in time for that corner itself going down into P5. He definitely should have pit under the VSC or even just after it. Really suffering under those 13 laps off compound tire.
Yeah, he tried to fight Rami, and he tried to brake at the same spot that Rami was on the fresher tires, and that's just not possible when he hasn't pit yet. With 13, now 14 laps being on those tires, there's no way he can do that, and Rami just keeps the race alive, and now the two are on equal footing in terms of penalties, so an overtake will be very meaningful for the finishing position. And I do think they're going to potentially build a gap, but Hazy is on the super soft, so he could put them under pressure if he keeps it clean, as we see Sweet Tej now entering the pit finally, dropping some positions. But Hazy's in a good position here, Checo, to potentially take a race win on the faster tires with no penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. As you do see Toxic do switch his tires and his front wing as he sustained damage off of the exit of Mirabo, going onto the super soft compound on the tire. They're really, like, pending any safety cars or any weather changes, you have our effective race leaders between Zav, Rami, and Hazy. Hazy coming off the better of the three as he has no penalties. There is a 8-second gap between P3 and P4 of Sicario. So really Hazy is in the driver's seat right now to win this race, to get some points off of Zav and say, I will take those 25 points there, sir. You are not the championship leader.
That's what he's looking to do. He was your champion last season, let's not forget that. And I think if you're Hazy, honestly, your best interest right now is to just take it easy. Go as fast as the drivers ahead of you are, which I'm sure is going slower than he has to, because you're going to be saving your tires and just putting them under pressure, and potentially you could see them battling or something like that happen, and you could be right with them and get that win done. Let's see, though. Can Rami hang on to Zav? Potentially. Oh, Rami lets his previous teammate by into turn 1. Wow. Some old friends coming in handy for Hazy there, who is now, I was just going to say, looking to put Zav under pressure, potentially with Rami being in the way, but Rami plays nice and lets him through. Definitely doing his old teammate a favor. They were the victorious champions from last season after all, so I'm sure they have some respect for one another. And Hazy now is clawing up to Zav.
I also don't think that Rami did have the pace to keep with Zav, as he was going on and off the wall on the last lap, going into La Rascas in sector 3. Yeah, I just don't think he had the pace in him. That's why he let Hazy go by him into turn 1 of Sandbot.
And I briefly flicked away from the top runners there. I'm looking at Zudi now, just pressuring Isasko. I was watching Kevwood earlier as well, who was pressuring Isasko, and Kevwood actually got the move done, I believe, around turn 1, I want to say. I could be wrong, but now Zudi is the next in line looking to get by for that second to last scoring position in P9. With Isasko obviously putting on a great deal of defense. He's not going to move out of the way now like we saw him in the first race. But besides that, with leader also right behind Zudi, we have Hazy sticking close to Zav's rear end, looking to take this win with the penalties being applied, of course. He's just got to keep it clean.
Yes, absolutely. Just keep it clean, keep it fast, but don't be stupid. You know, he has the race win possibly in the palm of his hand, as we have only 5 racing laps to go in this F2 feature race in Monaco.
It's been a really, really good race, a very high quality Monaco Grand Prix that I'm sure we'll look back on and really enjoy it, because usually you spend a lot of time just going behind a safety car. But we see Hazy now right behind Zav, and I don't think he really needs to risk it and go for a move, but of course, if he can win on track, he would like to do that. But it's just so tough to get that done around here. The walls are ever close, and we see Hazy pushing the limits. He's tapping the walls on the outside and inside into the swimming pool chicane. He's got to be careful. He hits another wall there. He's got to be careful. It does not want to knock that wing off and then lose pace and throw this one away.
No, absolutely he does not. This is the last thing he wants to do is to get damage. It's just exactly what we were talking about. You know, be fast, but don't be stupid. He does have possibly the wind in his hand. He just has to stay consistent, not make any mistakes.
And just looking now at the position change information, Kevwood again doing well, moving up positions in both races. Unfortunately, he didn't finish the last one, but this one he's looking good, up 8 spots from last place to P8, or was it 15th rather, I'm not quite sure. Everyone else really hasn't moved around that much, which is surprising because we have seen some movement, but there's been some people being overtaken and people also doing some overtaking at the same time. Speaking of which, we see Leader making the move on Zudi into Rascast. Wish I would have saw that a little bit earlier. That looked like a pretty nice move and well done from Leader, who now takes the last points off of Zudi. And let's see how the back of the pack finishes as well.
Yeah, very strange from Zudi to be giving up these decisions. He's a very fight-worthy driver, very quick, especially in the cockpit view. As we see, that he has a little bit of an understeer moment off of Mirabeau, fighting to get back into the point system, as the Leader is pressurizing Sasko for the P9 position.
So we're going to kind of flip back and forth between this little train here and obviously Hazy in front. Obviously, though, the guys in the back here, Isasko, Zudi, and Leader, have much more incentive to actually fight on track because there is no penalty separating them. And there is, you know, a point cutoff there with one of them being left out as of now. So potentially we might be seeing some more action back here. But we'll flip back and forth. This race has flown by. We're under the night sky here at Monaco with no rain. So I think we might have got a little bit too greedy, Checo, hoping for that. Because this race didn't really need it, to be honest. It's been really close and exciting with some good overtakes, some dramatic moments, and some really nice strong laps in these cars, which are very tough to handle. And we see Rami, speaking of which, picking up another penalty, I believe, bringing him up to 6 seconds now, which is fine for the moment, but he's got to be careful not to keep making mistakes and let Sicario get too close to him.
No, absolutely not. That gap is 11 seconds, but when you count 6 seconds against him, that's only, if the race ended now, it'll be 5 seconds.
Oh, Leader went for the move on Mirabeau, on Isasko, and there's contact in the rear there. Isasko was not happy. He responds into the hairpin. Huge contact here. Zudi's just watching the whole thing, and these drivers are not happy with one another right now. Leader did have the first contact there into Mirabeau, as I mentioned, and Zudi now has snuck by into that last position. So, like I said, more incentive for sure to do some battling, and we saw that with Leader trying a big dive into Mirabeau that ultimately did not work out. That was very tasty. Oh, and Zudi now
does
it's
give contact into Sasko. He did not like that.
Oh,
he did not like that fighting whatsoever. So he said, "Sasko, that was
get out of the way.
I'm gonna take that position for myself. Thank you very much."
Oh my goodness. The action just never stops giving here. This has been so much fun, and now Leader, through whatever means necessary, has taken P10 right now. Can he battle Zudi with the DRS here? No, looks like Zudi got a clean exit there. Not sure. Potentially, excuse me, that was the last movement we could see. Zav had a huge moment there. Oh my goodness, he hit 2 walls, and now his car is ghosted briefly. Did he get damage from that? Of course, he's still going to lose right now with the penalties being applied, but he's got to be more careful.
I am not seeing any damage on this front wing.
That was close, man.
The game does not simulate between light damage on from the car to the spectating view. Unfortunately for this game, as we cannot see that. But he has recovered from those incidents and leading up into turn 2 and turn 3 up the hill into the famous swooping left-hand corner as we go into the hotel section.
So I just flipping back and forth. I don't think Leader and Zudi will do too much fighting here, but you never know. We're now watching the last lap here between Hazy and Zav. Zav is looking to take the win on track, but of course the penalty will drop him down to P2 with Rami having penalties as well. Those three drivers should be your podium finishers unless anything crazy happens here. And Zakario just kind of had a quiet but very solid race, kind of in no man's land, both in the sprint and in the main race into P4, another strong result. And we did see Kevwood pitting on the last lap. Potentially, he tried to go to the end, and we saw Zudi disqualified?
Zudi, Asasko, and
What?
Rastafich all disqualified from the race.
What? Is that a glitch? There's no way, really?
I certainly hope not for those drivers, as we have the
That's definitely a glitch.
AI ghosted car of Nas Forever going into P10, a minute down from P9 of Kevwood. So hopefully he does not get any points. Hopefully that was just a glitch in the system. For those three drivers.
That's going to really throw off the standings here. We missed the finishing there. Hazy takes your win, of course, with the penalty over Zav in P2. Rami did have a better, more clean feature race for sure into P3. Zakario, as mentioned, strong results in P4 with Sweetige. Similar fortunes in P5. Black Cherry, again, just that moment sticking out to me from that sprint race. Definitely could have had a win there. But he did get some points on the second occasion here in P6. Toxic with a decent result into P7. Not quite as flashy as the first occasion. And Leader will take that final position, but I'm just not quite sure how those results should be. I checked the tires briefly there, Checo, and I saw some tires that were relatively new, and I don't imagine the drivers would have put the same compound on back to back to back. So potentially some issues to sort out here. I'm checking the race director, and right now I saw Zudi put on 2 compounds, as well as Isasko, as well as Rasta. So potentially, I think what needs to be done here is whoever will be doing the points, Zav, not me, will check the stream and potentially see what position they were in right before that happened, because that was definitely not correct. But Hazy picks up the win here. And I think he's going to be my driver of the race. He had a great result, and he hung in there with a great strategy. And to be honest, he didn't really get undercut that much by Zav or Rami. So he had a very, very strong race. Checo, how about you? Any highlights to speak of?
The fighting for the top 3 positions, it was really good. My driver is definitely Hazy Ozzy. Kept it clean, didn't get any penalties, and fought for every single position and also Remy kept it a lot cleaner. Unfortunately did not keep it clean as far as like the track limits are concerned, still getting 6 seconds like it did in the sprint race, but very unfortunate for Zudi, Rasta, and Asasco. They were all fighting for P9, 10, and 11, so hopefully not you, but Zav can figure out the point situation from them. Consistent result for Sweetige, very good for picking up another set of 14 points, adding to his total from Austin. Really good for him. Sasko still finishing in P8 from the screen, finishing up with 6 points from the sprint race, so adding to his points total. Leader going on to the points for the first time this season with 4, and Kevwood picking up with 2 points from the feature race.
So I think moving forward, you're going to obviously have Zav take a strong position in the lead of the championship here, moving up to, I believe, 64 points in total. And I believe the person who will be now behind him in P2 will be Hazy Ozzy, which is a similar kind of structure to what we had in the last season. Rami had a good, solid result to bounce back, but of course he did miss a race, so he will be behind. And then I think the last kind of mental math I'll do is I think Tej is still maintaining his P3 there, picking up some solid points. I believe 14 in the event tonight. So very strong race from him. Next race, while we're already wrapping up, it feels like we just got started. Next race will be the Netherlands, another dangerous, fun, twisty track with lots of dramatic moments ahead of us, I'm sure. Any last words, Checo, for the evening? Feels like it just got started, like I said. Anything you wanted to say before we round out the coverage?
Looking forward to the Netherlands. It's a really good track, and with these uh, semi-talented drivers, as we saw from Austin and from Monaco, really hope for some really good battles into the Netherlands as well as the rest of the season. Really good commentating with you, Greg, again. I look forward to being with you again next Monday or next Tuesday. Sorry.
Absolute pleasure, Checo. The spot is always open for you. Just let me know, and I'll of course warm the seat up for you. It was lots of fun tonight again. We will see you next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, for another exciting Flower Cup event. For now, though, we will wrap up the proceedings here. Good night from the broadcasting team. Hope you have enjoyed. Of course, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Share with your friends and family. And let's keep this good racing going. Goodbye for now and have a good night, everyone.